one morning to discover that the world around you is collapsing. The markets are empty, the roads are abandoned, ships no longer arrive at the harbors. Food has become scarce, rumors of war spread from city to city. No one knows what is happening, no one knows who to blame, and no one knows whether tomorrow will be any better. It sounds like the beginning of an apocalyptic movie, but more than 3,000 years ago, something remarkably similar happened. An entire network of civilizations, one of the most advanced worlds humanity had ever built, began to fall apart. Powerful kingdoms disappeared, great cities burned, trade routes collapsed, entire populations fled their homes, and within a surprisingly short period of time, the ancient world entered an age of darkness. Historians call this event the Bronze Age collapse. But after centuries of research, one question remains unanswered. What really happened? Was it war, climate change, famine, earthquakes, or was it something even larger than any single disaster? Tonight, we investigate one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. The moment an entire world vanished. Before the collapse, the Eastern Mediterranean was one of the most prosperous regions on Earth. This was not a primitive world. It was sophisticated, connected, advanced. The Egyptians ruled from the Nile Valley. The Hittites controlled vast territories across Anatolia. The Mycenaeans dominated much of mainland Greece. Powerful kingdoms flourished throughout the Levant. Across the sea, merchants transported copper, tin, gold, silver, ivory, textiles, perfumes, and luxury goods. Kings exchanged letters. Royal families forged alliances. Trade routes stretched across thousands of miles. Many historians compare this era to an ancient form of globalization. Entire industries depended on resources arriving from distant lands. And at the center of this system stood bronze, the metal that armed armies and built economies. As long as the system worked, prosperity flourished. But hidden beneath the success was a dangerous weakness. Everything was connected, and interconnected systems can fail. The people of the Bronze Age likely believed their world would last forever. They were wrong. The collapse did not begin with fire. It began with warnings, small warnings, the kind people often ignore. Harvests became less reliable, food shortages appeared, political tensions increased, ancient letters reveal growing desperation. Some rulers begged neighboring kingdoms for grain, others requested military assistance. These were not confident kings celebrating victories. These were leaders struggling to maintain control. Something was changing, something was going wrong. Evidence suggests severe drought may have struck several regions around this time. Year after year, crops failed. Food became scarce, populations grew restless, families migrated, governments faced increasing pressure, yet few understood how serious the crisis had become. Because the disaster was about to spread far beyond a single kingdom. Entire cities would soon vanish, empires would disappear, and somewhere beyond the horizon, a mysterious force was already moving. A force that would become one of history's greatest enigmas. Then came the destruction. Across the Eastern Mediterranean, cities began disappearing. One after another, archaeologists have uncovered thick layers of ash dating to this period. Evidence of catastrophic fires, evidence of sudden destruction. Entire urban centers were consumed by flames. Some were rebuilt, many were abandoned forever. What makes this event extraordinary is its scale. Normally, one civilization collapses while others survive. But during the Bronze Age collapse, destruction appeared across multiple regions. It was as if an entire world was unraveling at the same time. Imagine modern historians discovering evidence that New York, London, Tokyo, Paris, Berlin, and Beijing all suffered catastrophic collapse within a few decades. That is the scale of what happened. People fled, trade stopped, governments weakened, fear spread. No one knew where the disaster would strike next. But the burning cities were only part of the story. Because as panic spread across the Mediterranean, reports began to emerge of strange warriors arriving from the sea. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knew where they came from. And that mystery remains unsolved to this day. Then came one of history's greatest mysteries. The Sea Peoples. Ancient Egyptian inscriptions describe a terrifying enemy. Groups of warriors arriving from the sea. They appeared suddenly. They attacked coastal cities. They challenged kingdoms that had dominated the region for centuries. Even Egypt itself felt threatened. The problem is that nobody knows exactly who they were. Their origins remain uncertain. Their language is unknown. Their homeland has never been identified with certainty. They left no empire, no surviving records, no clear explanation of who they were. It is almost as if they emerged from the sea itself, and then vanished back into history. Some historians believe they were invaders. Others think they were pirates. Another theory suggests they were refugees fleeing famine and social collapse elsewhere. If that theory is true, the Sea Peoples may not have caused the disaster. They may have been victims of it. And that possibility changes everything. Because if the Sea Peoples were not the cause, Then what was? Among all the civilizations affected by the collapse, few suffered a more mysterious fate than the Hittite Empire. At its height, the Hittites controlled vast territories across Anatolia. Their armies rivaled Egypt. Their diplomats negotiated with kings across the ancient world. Their capital, Hattusa, was one of the great cities of its age. Then, suddenly, it vanished. The empire collapsed. The capital was abandoned. The government disappeared. Trade networks dissolved. One of the most powerful states in the world simply ceased to exist. The collapse was so complete that later civilizations largely forgot the Hittites had ever existed. For thousands of years, their empire disappeared from memory. Only modern archaeology rediscovered them. One century they ruled an empire. The next, they were gone. But the Hittites were not alone. Across the Aegean Sea, another civilization was about to enter its own dark age. The Mycenaean world suffered a similar fate. Before the collapse, wealthy palace centers dominated Greece. These palaces controlled trade, administration, military power, and food supplies. They were the heart of society. Then they fell. Many were destroyed. Others were abandoned. Administrative systems disappeared. Writing declined dramatically. Knowledge was lost. For centuries afterward, Greece entered what historians call the Greek Dark Age. Population levels dropped. Economic activity shrank. The world became smaller, poorer, less connected. Kingdom after kingdom had fallen. Trade networks had shattered. Entire populations were on the move. The question was no longer who had been affected. The question was what had caused it all. Historians have debated this mystery for generations. Some blamed invasion. Others blamed climate change. Some pointed to earthquakes. Others to economic collapse. But what if the answer is all of them? Today, many researchers believe the Bronze Age collapse was not caused by a single disaster. Instead, multiple crises struck at once. Drought reduced food production. Famine created unrest. Earthquakes damaged cities. Political instability weakened governments. Migration increased. Trade networks broke down. Wars intensified. Each crisis made the others worse. A failed harvest weakened a kingdom. A weakened kingdom struggled to defend itself. Military defeats disrupted trade. Trade disruptions created shortages. Shortages fueled further instability. The system entered a vicious cycle. Eventually, it reached a breaking point. The Bronze Age world may have experienced history's first great systemic collapse. The first ancient apocalypse. More than 3,000 years have passed. Yet the Bronze Age collapse continues to fascinate historians. Not simply because it remains unsolved, but because it feels strangely familiar. Our modern world is connected through trade, connected through technology, connected through transportation, connected through global supply chains. Just like the Bronze Age world, we depend on systems stretching across continents. The people of 1200 BC probably believed their civilization was permanent. History proved otherwise. The Bronze Age collapse reminds us that even the strongest societies can be vulnerable. Even great powers can disappear. Even prosperous civilizations can face unexpected crises. An entire world vanished. Thousands of years later, we are still searching for the reason why. The cities are gone. The kings are gone. The empires are gone. Yet the mystery remains, hidden beneath ruined palaces, buried beneath layers of ash, waiting for someone to finally uncover the truth. Until then, the Bronze Age collapse remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in human history.